Welcome to Small Arms Solutions. Today we're looking at the Remington RP9. This is a Remington pistol. As you can see from its size, this is a full-size duty pistol. Now, Remington has gotten into the pistol market in the last several years. You saw a lot with their M1911s, but they have been trying to come up with some newer weapons to go into their personal defense line, which are semi-automatic polymer pistols, and this is one of them. However, I have a feeling this particular pistol, this model, was put into service way too soon. I think that there's a lot of development that needed to go on with it before it was released, and there are several reasons which I will tell you. But as we can see, we have a very large pistol. We're looking at about 1.27 inches in width. We're looking at about 5.56 inches in height, and we're looking at about 5.75 pound trigger pull. This trigger pull here, even though it's advertised as 5.75, we're close to 6.5. And the trigger on this one here is not what you would call a match grade type trigger. Now, I want you to take a look at the way this trigger set is on here. As you notice, we have quite a bit of travel till we get to the actual block, and you have the same kind of a tit in the trigger here like you do on a Glock for safety. But you can push it back to a certain point, but you can't go all the way until this is pulled. Now, what I want you to take a look at is once I get to that point, now as you can see under the point where the trigger's gone back as far as it can, and now the safety's engaged. Now I'm going to push in on the safety. And now you can see I'm going to push all the way back till we hear it click. And now what I want you to notice is once we recock here, I want you to notice how far the trigger goes up until you hear it click. So you have to go quite a ways up. Right there is where it resets. So pull the trigger. And look how far we go up for that reset. So you have sort of a squishy type trigger on there with a long reset. Look at some of the features to begin with. First, we have a removable magazine release. You can go either side, left or right. We do have a 1913 rail. We do have a live cartridge indicator, two of them actually. One, as you can see right here where you have a tab, if that was loaded, the extractor would stick out and your finger would be able to feel that tab that it was loaded. You also have on the top here cut is where you have a visual indicator where you still would see brass. Now, you may think by looking at it you have an ambidextrous slide stop, but believe it or not, you don't. If we drop from the right, she drops. If we try from the right, nothing happens. That's due to the fact that the way this is designed, this just pushes down instead of disengages. So, again, this is one of those things why I tell you I think this thing was released a little bit too soon, and some of the more obvious things were really not taken care of with it. Now, you do have two grooves. You have striations on the front and the rear. You do have a rather large trigger guard on it. And the magazine, which is extremely impressive, is an 18-shot magazine. So basically 18 plus 1. So you do have 18 plus 1. You do have a rather wide duty-sized pistol. This is not something that you're really going to want to conceal. This is more of a target pistol. What we're going to do now is we're going to disassemble it. We pull a slide back to rear. We're going to lock it open. We're going to push downward on the lever. Pull back. You're going to have to pull the trigger to allow the striker to go forward and forward. You can see we have a very, very giant slide. And if you look in here, you'll be able to see also a very thin sheet of metal here. As you can see, it works totally independent. If you have the slide stop engaged, you push down, you can see how that bends and flexes. And it does not push that down. Again, that's a design flaw. That's something that was missed in the development of this pistol. So it was a little bit disturbing when we found that out. And now we're going to take a look at the slide. We have a massive slide. We do have a spring, a recoil spring, which is a flat recoil spring, such that is the Glock, and we have a barrel. Now I'm going to talk about how this thing shot before you see the range footage, because it's going to go along with it, something that you're going to see. Now, I have a feeling when this pistol was developed, it was developed as one frame that they would be able to modify to several calibers. And the reason why I say that is because when you look at it, everything is so massive and heavy. You're going to notice on the range footage when this thing fires, you're going to see how those cartridge cases pretty much barely flop out. They don't, what you would say, launch like most of the cartridge cases would. What that's indicating to me is for 9mm, this slide is too heavy. You have too much mass in here, and it's slowing down too much to fully operate a lot of the mechanism. And judging by some of the malfunctions that I had was a really good example of this thing just being too slow on the operation. You do have a firing pin safety, which is very, very important. You can see the back of the striker right here. The barrel you have here, you have standard cut rifling. Now this pistol is supposed to be plus P rated, which absolutely it should be. As heavy as the slide and the mass and everything is on it, it should be able to handle those higher pressure loads. In fact, it'll probably work better with them. Something very, very simple. I think what we're going to do now is we're going to immediately take you to the range, and we're going to show you. You're going to notice in the first magazine I had some pretty serious failures. And oddly enough, those were the same failures that Mac found on Military Arms Channel when he tested this very same pistol. And he initially had stated that he didn't know if that was his pistol in particular that was doing that. And I could pretty much verify at this moment that that was not just his pistol. That is both the pistol he has and the one that I got. So I want you to take a look at the first magazine that we fire. You're going to see some malfunctions, and we're going to talk about those as soon as we come back. You'll see that there's only malfunction in that first magazine. The next few magazines it cycled just fine with some different kinds of ammunition. I did some firing off screen too, where I did find some of the same malfunctions, and we're going to talk about that when we come back too. So we're going to go off to the range and we're going to see how this shoots. We have Black Hills 115 grain full metal jacket. Failure to lock. Failure to feed. Now we have a failure to eject, and it's also caught. And it's locked up pretty good. We have here Sig Sauer ammunition. It's Elite Performance 124 grain full metal jacket. Okay, I like the Sig ammo. We're now going to try American Eagle 115 grain Syntech ammunition. Okay, we got 8 rounds of Hornady Critical Duty, 135 grain Flex Lock plus P. It did like that. We're going to try some Remington 115 grain jacketed hollow points. This is a shorter projectile, more blunt. Okay, now we're going to talk about the malfunctions that we saw on the first video. Basically what was happening was, as the slide would come back, the front of the projectile would pick up and would get caught underneath the feed ramp on the magazine, which is very, very sharp. Inside of the pistol, you can see how sharp that is. Once the projectile tip got caught underneath that feed ramp, the slide was in a locked position. The extractor was holding the fire cartridge case in position. It had not yet hit the ejector. And it did that with full metal jacket ammunition. The ammunition that was used there was Jeff Hoffman's Black Hills 115 grain full metal jacket. That is premium ammunition. That is some of the best ammunition in this industry. And that is my staple. I use, for most of the pistols that I shoot, the ammunition I tested with is Black Hills and that particular 115 grain full metal jacket. So the fact that it did it with full metal jacket was quite surprising. However, a lot of the hollow points that I did use after that worked just fine, but it did not like some of that full metal jacket. And my thoughts, again, I believe a lot of that has to do with the fact that the slide is overweight and it's moving in too slow velocity as it's coming back. And I also do believe that that lip that's underneath that feed wrap needs to be changed as well. It needs to be more forward so you don't have as much of a lip that something can catch on as it comes up. So for as far as this pistol being a defensive pistol, well, I don't think I would have it next to my bed. I think if I wanted it for a target shooting gun where I was out in the range and it really didn't matter if it malfunctioned, that's fine. But I also want to stress what this pistol cost. This thing retails for $418. So it's really hard to compare this to a Glock or a SIG or a Beretta or an H&K. It's a very low priced pistol. But overall, it's very well made. It just appears as though they didn't get through it properly when they manufactured it. There was too many things that were left undone. It never should have gotten out without the right side working on this, and also that particular malfunction with that I experienced, and so did Tim on Military Arms Channel. That's a defect in the pistol. Now, you may have luck where you buy ammunition, hollow points or whatnot, or plus P, where you get a lot more velocity going in there, where the slide moves faster. For a defensive or a duty pistol, I don't think that this is something that you would want for that until such time as Remington takes care of that. This is not what you would call Remington quality, because Remington has extremely high quality. Their 1911s are beautiful. Their shotguns are legendary. Their other pistols seem to be quite well too. It's something about this particular P9, RP9, that there's some issues with. And again, for a target gun, I would certainly recommend it. You need to find an ammunition that would work in it. I really would like to take a pistol like this and fire a lot more kinds of ammunition through it and spend more time with it. But this pistol here was not provided by Remington. It was provided by a good friend of our channel, Brandon from the Gun Room here in Houston, Texas. There's a lot of pistols that you're going to be seeing here that are coming from him. And I certainly didn't want to take his pistol and put a couple thousand rounds through it to see what was going on with it. Overall, a decent pistol. Ready to go? I don't think so. If you guys have any questions about this pistol, please feel free to leave me a comment, and I'll see if I can get back to you. Again, maybe some of you guys who have some of these can leave me some comments. Let me know what your experiences are with them. Are yours working, or yours temperamental, or do you not have any problems at all? I'd certainly be curious to hear from you. So thank you again for watching. If you enjoy this, please click like, please subscribe, and even better, share. Thank you.